All right, so this is in fact a fifth roundtable, which will focus on cross-industry learning to make healthcare more reachable to the people and extending the quality. Thank you so much to all team members who have joined the session. Before I bring you through the summary of the session, which we had on 7th of March, I would request everybody to have a quick introduction so that we can proceed accordingly. So we can start from Dr. Maida.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ali, for having me again. I'm Dr. Maida Afan. I'm the marketing director for Zeven Social, which is a full-service digital marketing firm. But because of my clinical background, I specialize in healthcare marketing. And, I believe that there's so much scope. And because healthcare has unique needs, this is where I can add the most value in terms of marketing practices. And I'm glad to be here. Nice to meet all of you.
Thank you. Sahil, quickly kindly introduce yourself.
Ji, my name is Sahil Manzoor. I'm the General Manager Sales Operations of Healthwire. Healthwire is a health tech company covering all the facets of health, and we're making the health accessible and affordable across Pakistan with the presence of 66 cities. So this is my introduction. It's a pleasure meeting all of you. Thank you.
Dr. Bina, once again.
Right. Thank you so much, Ali. Hello, Maida and Sahel. It's a pleasure to interact with you guys again. I'm Dr. Bina. I'm working as Head of Medical Affairs, Clinical Research and Pharmacovigilance at CCL Pharmaceuticals for almost 3 years now. And I've been associated with the pharmaceutical and healthcare industry for the last 10 years. So I have a pretty decent idea of what the expectations are and what kind of roadblocks or bottlenecks we can potentially face when we're trying to achieve something from the digital perspective in terms of integration of health and technology as well.
Great. So we have so we got another person, Hasnan Ahmed. So Hasnan, can you please introduce yourself as well quickly?
Yes जी, thank you so much. Apologies, I am in a travel from मुझे ये नहीं पता कि कब तक मेरा internet stable रहता है, but I am associated with Novo Nordisk Pakistan, and I know few of the colleagues, ex-colleagues in this call also. So I am working in the capacity of Director Market Access Public Affairs. So I also know some of the on-ground challenges and facts for the people living with diabetes and obesity. So I think so it's a good initiative. So I will share few of the inputs from my side. If not on this call, maybe then through the email to the point of contact after this call. Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you so much. And we do have a form available as well, which Narmeen, I think, take a note as well. So Narmeen will be sending a form. So in fact, for any roundtable conversation, wherever you have a later thought, please feel free to fill up that information with more details. So that form will be with you as well additionally. And we got another team member with us, and that's Safia. Safia, kindly quickly introduce yourself. Safia, the full name is Safia Dost. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Safia Dost Mohammed. I'm a business psychologist and a business graduate, and I've worked in the corporate sector for 15 years, and I'm now pursuing my PhD. And I've worked in the industries of pharmaceutical, retail, academics, and financials. So I was mostly in marketing and sales.
Great. So all of you, thank you so much once again for your kind presence. So the purpose and the objective of this session is to get to know the cross-industry learnings and how to extend the reach and the quality of healthcare facilities to the patient. So the overarching objective is towards the making patients' life better in Pakistan. So I will quickly summarize the takeaways from the session we had on 7th of March. So the session was quickly on how the cross-industry learning can be implemented in healthcare. So the people segregated it overall as rural and urban. And when it talked about rural, they said like, we need to extend our reach to rural through educating the lady health workers, general practitioners, as well as midwives to get the get their trust first of all, and then implement the telehealth and the other solutions over there. When it comes to the urban, the idea was the internet penetration is really high in the urban cities. There are millions of people who are using the phone, but we are falling short to tap into the consumer's mind. So this was a mutual understanding by all of the team members that access is there, the marketing is there, but we are not able to change the mindset as quickly as we can do it for the people. And just to add in that, we have conducted a survey with the patients in Pakistan, and 78% people said that the telemedicine is not our priority. And there was a separate panel discussion on that and a roundtable discussion, which we took on Wednesday on that. So that was one. When it comes to the actions, one of the idea came to talk about 2 C's, commitment and collaboration. So people talked about like hospitals in US are offering services digitally because there is a commitment and the collaboration with the right industry. In Pakistan, we need to talk about stakeholders. We need to bring the stakeholders together and go and by the policy makers, and enable the infrastructure and make sure that we pay for the digitalize. That's the whole idea about commitment and collaboration. The other point where most of the people talked in this panel, how different industry collaborated together during the COVID times. So it comes like how the ride hailers, how the supply chain work together with digital when it comes to the FMCG products and the other services. It is time that we focus more on those kind of collaboration, and then influencers roles, bloggers, vloggers role were really high during the COVID time. We need to see as an industry how we can enhance our reach through this role. Then there comes to 2 things that must be done. So this came as the first of idea was to create a simple value proposition, which is probably driven by quality with convenience towards the patient. Second action was agree in the panel, enable an environment where patients are able to move forward from a face-to-face interaction towards a virtual interaction while being happy about it. A digital footprint should be established along with someone with specialized skills in healthcare marketing to propel their projects in the right way and the shift the narrative about the health. So this was the overall summary of the conversation we had during the panel that day. Now, bringing that conversation forward, the first question which I'm putting here is, do we have examples from the cross industry which can be capitalized in healthcare sector? So one of the example I would give from Turkey, the ePulse example. So ePulse, once they made that app, and that app was launched on YouTube, the reach was very less. But later on, they engaged with the national singers like Atif Aslam and Shahzad Rai kind of people. And rather than the direct message, they made it like a story, and that story reached to the millions. So indirect integration. Then comes to the drama and the TV integration, where you basically make the concept within that program. Another example, I can put it like the drama going on Sinfe Ahan, because when the army want to embed their narrative to public, so they come to the drama kind of thing, where because everybody, a lot of people watch drama in Pakistan. So these are the initial thoughts. So now I would like to raise this question to the marketing people, and we have a good blend of marketing and the healthcare professionals here. What are the actions taking from the cross industry to make healthcare more reachable, changing the mind of the people? So I would like to start it from Dr. Maida, because she was part of that panel as well.
Thank you, Ali. And I think that, again, a very good start, a very good initiative. And I think that you've touched on so many important points, and it's really important for us to discuss it. So, you know, when I see the digital landscape where we're heading, and when we're talking about processes of communication and strategic communication and outreach, I see 3 main verticals. So when we're talking about the patient experience or the consumer experience, it has to have a starting or a vantage point, which is access and convenience, right? So when you're giving an access to telemedicine services or to virtual care in the palm of the consumer's hand, it has to be something that it's easy to navigate. It has to be user intuitive. It has to be hassle free. And this is where the collaboration also comes in. In Pakistan, what I think is the force, one of the most common causes that is just driving people off or away, is that there's no easy payment integration. And I was actually so happy to see, because a lot of people, they don't have a credit card for payment, right? You need to have easy payment gateways for such platforms as well. So this is where we need to collaborate with the finance sector. This is where we need to collaborate with banks. This is where they're going to help us integrate easy payment gateways into the system. Now, once the patient is hooked into your telemedicine service or your portal, now you have to focus on ongoing patient experience, right? Ab to wo aapke portal pe aa gaya hai. How are you going to make the patient stick to your portal? What are the different touch points that you have to meet the consumer at? So for example, agar main aapko dun, yahan pe ya bahar ke mamalik mein jo hota hai, yahan pe if once say a patient is diagnosed with diabetes, you go to the doctor inputs it in the system, you go to the neighborhood pharmacy, you get the anti-diabetic medications along with the glucometer and everything else that is required. Once the doctor has said that this is a prescription for 3 months, after 3 months, right when the 3 months are over, you get an SMS reminding the patient, oh, your prescription is over. Your next gluco strips or glucometer strips are ready for you, and your next batch of medications ready for you. This is where you're meeting the patient exactly where he needs to be met, he or she needs to be met. These are the different digital touch points that we have to meet the patient at. Then number 3, when the patient is going through the digital experience, and when we're talking about outreach and communication, we have, obviously there's always room for improvement. And so when you identify certain opportunity areas, they have to be data-driven improvements, right? So ये जो दौर जिस दौर से हम गुजर रहे हैं और जो digital experience की बात कर रहे हैं, the only way to really have an impact and to improve the patient experience is through data-driven strategies, to use that data to encompass both verticals into a shell of unified data. That's where I think that we can make the most difference.
Great. So you're talking more about like bringing the convenience for the patients. That's the way you can change the mindset. Now, so similar question, I would, so everybody please make your thoughts ready. I'm moving to Hasnan. So Hasnan, the same question. Do you have any example from any other industry where the reach and the mindset was able to change through collaboration or through some unique idea? Do you have some example?
ओके मेरे पास एक्चुअली एक एग्जांपल है जब हम बात करते हैं कि यस वी कैन हैव अ गुड बिहेवियर चेंज कम्युनिकेशन इन द रूरल इन द अर्बन सेटिंग बट द रूरल एरिया इज लाइक 70% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन. सो बिहेवियर चेंज के अंदर एक एनजीओ काम कर रही है जिन्होंने बेसिकली इंडिया के अंदर ये किया था कि जो हेल्थ एंड हाइजीन के ऊपर सुपर मदर्स का कॉन्सेप्ट लेके आए थे. उन्होंने सिर्फ ये किया था कि लोगों को ये कहा था कि आप ये चीजें करेंगे तो उनको इंसेंटिवाइज भी किया एंड देन दे सेड कि यू विल बी लाइक माधुरी दीक्षित विच इज एन आइकन. जैसे आपने भी बताया कि सिंगर से हम इन्फ्लुएंस कर सकते हैं और एक बिहेवियर चेंज के ऊपर लेके आ सकते हैं. सो वी नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई कि वन साइज डजंट फिट ऑल, सो वी नीड टू गो इनटू द इन्फ्लुएंसर्स ऑफ द कम्युनिटी. मैं सिर्फ इस चीज को एक उससे टैग करूंगा कि जब हम टेली हेल्थ की बात करते हैं, और मैंने आप लोगों की यूट्यूब पे भी देखी कि टेली हेल्थ पे हम काफी एग्रेसिव बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आपने अपनी स्टार्टिंग में ये बताया कि टेली मेडिसिन इतनी हाई प्रायोरिटी नहीं होगी फॉर द रूरल पॉपुलेशन. सो कैन वी innovate into the market reshape of the telemedicine for those people across the रूरल एरियाज में भी? एक चीज तो ये इन्होंने बताया कि जो हम उनको चार्ज करते हैं वो हम इजी पैसा की इंटीग्रेशन कर दें बिकॉज लार्जर पॉपुलेशन इज नाउ यूजिंग इजी पैसा एंड ये जो माइक्रो फाइनेंसिंग हमारी है. दूसरी एक चीज इसके अंदर इंपॉर्टेंट ये हो सकती है कि हम ये देख सकते हैं कि जो कम्युनिटी इन्फ्लुएंसर्स हैं और एनजीओज आर क्वाइट एग्रेसिवली वर्किंग. जैसे केपीके के अंदर आपको पता है जो एल्डरली पीपल हैं उनको मशरान कहा जाता है, दे आर द इन्फ्लुएंसर्स इन देयर कम्युनिटी. सो मे बी वहाँ पे हम एक चेंज बिहेवियर और उस तरीके से भी कर सकते हैं. लास्टली एक पॉइंट जो मैं रिलेट करना चाहूंगा कि now this is again an opportunity कि आप inclusiveness of elderly people into the digital world कैसे लेके आ सकते हैं. और एक FIDE NGO है, and I really like their initiative कि उन्होंने basically young बच्चों के साथ जो उनके elderly लोग हैं जो पढ़े लिखे नहीं हैं, लेकिन उनको ये कहा कि आप जो है स्मार्टफोन यूज करें और 1 क्लिक के ऊपर आपको न्यूज़पेपर, न्यूज और ये चीजें, तो वो कम्युनिटी के अंदर ये बिहेवियर, आप चेंज बिहेवियर लेके आना चाह रहे हैं. सो आई थिंक सो ये वो चीजें हैं जिससे आई थिंक सो हम थोड़ा सा माइंडसेट शिफ्ट कर सकते हैं.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sahil, coming to you, any other industries example to change the mindset and extend the reach?
जी बिल्कुल. I think firstly going back and understanding the trouble is, if we're talking about any app, हम लोग telemedicine पे उसकी बात कर रहे हैं. If we're talking about any app, it needs to have minimum clicks. It needs to be user friendly. It needs to cater all audiences, not only youth, but as we were talking about different disparities in age groups, it needs to cater all. So taking an example of Healthwire itself, where I'm working, because this is very relevant to what we are doing. All of these facets that we're talking about is something that we've tried to cover. So for example, just giving some example, integration with easier payment channels. So you can pay through Jazz Cash. Jazz Cash, Easy Paisa has played a pivotal role in Pakistan. And I think credit goes to them because it has made payments so much easier. And the accessibility is both in rural and urban areas, because we are present in 66 cities. And we have seen that the mode of preference instead of cash has started to becoming Jazz Cash, which is of, I think, great importance. And this is all due to COVID. So with all the negatives that COVID has brought, I think in terms of leaps of digital integration of Pakistan, I think it has taken a lot of leaps ahead. Also understanding the point that, when we're talking about health, it's a serious issue. Categorizing actors and celebrities, I think it's a gone phenomena now. People know that actors and celebrities would be paid off to present their viewpoint. And that's where, Ale, as you were mentioning, bloggers come in point. But not every other blogger. You can't have every other blogger. For example, let's suppose fashion blogger coming in and saying, health is key and, you need to have fitness. So you need to be very specific onto which blogger relates to the product or resonates the audiences. For example, there's a blogger called Muzammil who is talking about startups. So he's relevant to that field. If you're talking about health, there are a lot of people who are talking about health. And there are a lot of influencers, be it professional, be it YouTubing, blogging. So I think that's of importance, because these bloggers or these influencers have a lot of weight, and people listen to them. They take their feedbacks, they resonate with their ideas and the ideology. And I think that's the easiest, most way with the advent of TikTok and with the advent of Instagram. I think these platforms could be ideally used in a way which could be more effective. Not only for short videos or fun videos and entertainment. I think this is a very powerful tool in terms of explaining and sending a right message across, because it's easy to understand. Just in 10 seconds you can understand the complete message. Also, more on I would like to cover last topic is that in Pakistan, it's not only about rural. People in urban also feel the capacity of missing the interaction and the inpatient experience that they can have if teledoctor is being used. For example, if there is an application and a doctor or a GP is in front of me and he's just communicating to me through video, they will have a lot of trust issues. Is the doctor right? Is he qualified? Who is he? I don't even know him. He's not my family doctor, because in Pakistan, there's a culture of family doctors. Oh, my father used to, everyone goes to him, no matter what the issue is. They don't care if the doctor is specialized to tell me those medicines or not. So I think the concept of a hybrid model where there are digital kiosk and small e-setup clinics, you go there, there's a tablet, there's still a tablet there. You click on the tab and the doctor appears in front of you. You have a triage in front of you. Blood pressure machine, electronic blood pressure machine, electronic thermometer, electronic glucometer, and printer, where they can test you, tell you, use the triage, give you. I think the hybrid model needs to kick in first before we move on to a completely telemedicine. And I think that is why maybe I resonate with the survey that you've already done, the 78%, because we've started to go directly on another level. We have not taken a step-by approach. And that is where I would want to, because as I said, that this is a topic that we're dealing with. This is something that we're doing every day. And that's where we have launched as a company digital kiosks, which are set up not only in rural areas, but also in companies which have large manufacturing plants who do not have smartphones, they have feature phones. So for them, they are meeting the doctor. And I think ideas like this needs to kick in early so that the adoption of telemedicine is made smoother, because honestly, I think the future is telemedicine and we need to make it work. But the transition has to be smooth. It can't be from A, they're jumping directly to Z. You have to go through all the alphabet that comes in here.
Great. I think that's very important. That was one of the takeaway from the roundtable day before yesterday. That people said that to extend the telemedicine, we need to create experience centers similar to Amazon has done it in India. So even though they actually sell everything online, but they have set up the experience center for the people to come and order from there. So this hybrid, I like the word like we should actually move not directly from physical to virtual. Let's make hybrid and then fully virtual. Dr. Veena, I think I put always a little bit later to you because I just want everybody to share your thoughts to validate with you because you have a lot of experience. So what are your thoughts about it, Dr. Veena?
Right. So thank you, Ali. It was a pleasure listening to all the other colleagues here. मेरे कुछ points होंगे. I think it might be a repetition of what Maida and Sahel and Hassan has also said. It's a pleasure to see you again, Hassan. We've worked together previously, so that's how we know each other. Pehli cheez, I think it's very important to realize is that Pakistan is I would say more than 90% is an out-of-pocket market, and that's where people are reluctant to, make a lot of follow-up visits to the doctors. वो एक दफा जाके पर्ची लिखवा के they prefer not to go back because they think it's an additional inconvenience, travel. Next time जाएंगे डॉक्टर एक मजीद एक बड़ी सी पर्ची लिख कर दे देगा दवाइयों की. So first we need to realize कि हम उस cost को और उस psychological barrier को क्या कम कर रहे हैं with a telemedicine solution, or we are adding on to it. Because अगर हम ये कह रहे हैं कि उसको टेलीमेडिसिन के लिए इंटरनेट चाहिए होगा, उसको स्मार्टफोन चाहिए होगा, he probably would need to have a Jazz Cash or an Easy Paisa account, या उसको दुकान पे जाके करना पड़ेगा. Some people can have it on their phone. Some people who don't know how to use it, they'll still have to, get out of their premises or get out of their houses. Is it going to be feasible for all age groups or not? Yes, there is a certain population which is tech savvy, but older adults, they're the ones who need more of attention. In terms of they have chronic illnesses, non-communicable diseases, unke follow-up har 2 mahine, har 3 mahine ke baad for change in their diabetes medicine, for change in their blood pressure, cholesterol medicines. So are they, willing to take up this challenge? उनको तो अभी भी जब तक डॉक्टर मेटफॉर्मिन नहीं लिख के देगा वो नहीं खाएंगे. वो शायद मेरी या आपकी या किसी टेलीमेडिसिन के नए डॉक्टर की who apparently also looks very young because जो टेलीमेडिसिन पे आ रहे हैं, jump on कर रहे हैं उस प्लेटफॉर्म पे, they're very young people who are also very willing to use technology. The senior consultants in our part of the country, they're still not willing to jump on these platforms. वो तो अपना नंबर किसी को नहीं देते WhatsApp का, तो वो टेलीमेडिसिन पे जाएंगे where they're more easily accessible at any hour of the day. It becomes a challenge. How well would people, for example, one fine day people start using telemedicine, will they be compliant to it? Or is it going to be like a one-off event? Ki yaar, chalo, aaj majboori hai, I'm in a very tough situation. I cannot go to the clinic. Let me, reach out to one of the telemedicine platforms. Usko download karke maine apna kaam nikal liya. But will I still continue to use it? That's again a question. Over the last 2.5 years, 3 years, Sahel would endorse, we've seen mushroom growth of telemedicine platforms. Kuch bahut achhe bhi hain, and some of them are actually not as good. Whether it be the user interface, whether it be the user experience, whether it be कि जी login करने के लिए email ID mandatory है, हर इंसान का email ID नहीं है पाकिस्तान में, मेरा आपका है, but majority people don't have it. Majority telemedicine platforms जो मैंने देखे, login से पहले email मांग लेते हैं, भाई नहीं है हमारा email ID, हम क्या करें? So we need to make things simple, not make things complicated for people who are actually willing to jump on these platforms. Yes, the idea of having kiosks or health cafes, जिस तरह किसी ज़माने में हमारे पास internet cafes होते थे, अब सबके घरों में computer है, maybe yes, that transition which took 5-10 years to take place, it can work. But जहाँ तक बात ये है कि telemedicine is the future, telemedicine might be a future, but it will still be the partial future because healthcare still needs to have some physical contact. Yes, for emergency situations and for follow-up cases and chronic illnesses, telemedicine can be a very good solution provider in terms of adding convenience to the lives of people who are less mobile or who have less number of family members to take care of them. However, yes, when it comes to specialties where people cannot treat you without looking at you, जिस तरह हम as doctors हम reports का इलाज नहीं करते, हम मरीज का इलाज करते हैं. At any point in time, if I want to suggest something to a doctor or to a patient, I would want to see that person once at least. To examine and then to consider that as a baseline of a follow-up में मैं उसको telemedicine पे या online उसको manage कर सकती हूँ. So I think these are the things that I wanted to add. These can be considered and rephrased and once you're writing your white paper as well.
Great. So before I go to Safia and Dr. Pashmeen, so the people who have already gave their comments, I would request, like, meanwhile you get ready with your point. The next question I'm going to ask specifically on example of any other industry. So we'll not talk about healthcare. I want to listen about any example, like the way we talk about Amazon, FMCG. So it's about cross-industry learning which can be implemented in healthcare. So the next point, please prepare your thoughts accordingly. And for this question, I would move to Dr. Safia Dost. Please add your point in the conversation which we just having right now.
Thank you so much, Ali. The example that comes to my mind is of the telecom industry, because here we're talking about the rural sector, and like a decade ago, they weren't able to penetrate rural sector. There was a thing going on that they wanted to increase their penetration in the rural sector. And now look at them, they have reached to a point that the rural people in the villages are using smartphone. तो यहाँ पे भी जैसे आप बात कर रहे हैं हेल्थ केयर की, तो मुझे जो एक चीज एज अ मार्केटर भी नजर आ रही है, तो ये नजर आ रही है दैट वी आर टेकिंग द सेलिंग अप्रोच, कि हम वहाँ पे ये कर देंगे, हम वहाँ पे वो कर देंगे. Why aren't people going to the grassroots and trying to find out what are they looking for, what are they using as solutions to the needs that they have, and where you can replace easily or provide a substitution. जहाँ पे easily वो change होने का तैयार है. जैसे अभी किसी ने बात भी की थी ओपिनियन लीडर्स की, उनकी इसी तरह जैसे कोई भी की ओपिनियन लीडर्स जो है वो अगर हम उनके आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं, और सबसे पहले आप अभी जा रहे हैं, you are assuming that they are willing to accept you. That's I think that's a notion that is not a fair notion to have, because अभी वहाँ पे अगर गांव का जो एक स्ट्रक्चर है वो यही है कि वो अभी भी दम कराते हैं, बच्चों को डॉक्टर के पास नहीं ले जाते. Money is an issue. Yes, there are people with wealth, but there is a very high percentage of people who does not have wealth. So looking for cheap options के दम कर दिया या कुछ और खिला दिया या कोई टोटका करा दिया. जहाँ पे सिवियर होते हैं, जब उनके पास कोई चारा नहीं होता, जब वो भागते हैं शहर के पास या डॉक्टर के पास, तो यही बहुत बड़ी रेजिस्टेंस है. तो सबसे पहले तो आई फील वहां पे ये काम होने की जरूरत है. एंड देन यू कैन ऑलवेज हैव मॉडल विलेजेस. You don't need to penetrate all the villages at the same time. Pick up villages where there is a literacy rate, and then there is a smartphone usage, and then you can go and see कि वहाँ पे हम दो ले लें, मत बनाए ज़्यादा. And then once you have this model and you can work and you can focus your, फिर आपकी energies पे dissipate नहीं हो रही ना. You have a very focused 2-3 places where you're working. You are trying to find out क्या needs है, क्या basic needs है जिसको हम substitute कर सकते हैं, जिसमें वो आसानी से हो जाए. आप hook कभी भी उससे नहीं करेंगे कि आपने payment system अच्छा कर दिया. आप hook हमेशा एक इंसान को उसकी need को fulfill करने से करेंगे. Like if you ever watched a sitcom, Friends, I'm giving a वो जिस आपने का इंडस्ट्री हेल्थ केयर ना लें, तो हम अपने आप को एज अ पर्सन देखें कि हम उससे हुक्ड होते हैं जहाँ पे हमें मजा आता है या कोई चीज हमारी मीट हो रही होती है. तो यहाँ पे हमें मजा आ रहा है कि वो हमें आसानी से कर ले एक्सेप्ट. उनको तो मजा नहीं आ रहा. आपका तो कस्टमर वो है, आपको तो उसको देखना है कि उसको किस चीज में मजा आएगा करने में. तो सबसे पहले तो अगर आप थोड़ा सा ये देख लें कि वहां पे वो कौन सी नीड्स ऐसी हैं जिसपे उसको जरूरत है, फिर जब उसको फील हो अच्छा हाँ मेरी तो ये भी चीज मीट होगी, तो आहिस्ता स्टेप बाय स्टेप. यू नीड टू बी पेशेंट. जैसे अगर एक और एग्जांपल मैं दूसरी इंडस्ट्री की लूं, पैम्पर्स की जैसे एग्जांपल है, which भी P&G worked out. So they worked so hard on establishing the category. And look now, अब वो आप किसी भी उस पे चले जाए, चाहे आप मासी के बच्चे के पास भी जाए, वो भी अपने बच्चे को पैम्पर बनाती है और वो उसको पैम्पर ही कहती है. पैम्पर इज अ ब्रांड नेम. तो इस तरह का काम करने की जरूरत है अगर आप रेवोल्यूशनलाइज करने की कोशिश करें पूरी रूरल सेक्टर को. और वो आप यहाँ पे बैठ के अपनी अज्यूम नोशंस के साथ तो नहीं कर सकते until you don't have a I'm also practicing in psychologist, so I'll give you a very small example. I also train corporate, and being a psychologist and a marketer, तो मेरे लिए psychology बड़ी वो लगती है, मुझे बड़ी normal चीज लगती है, therapy करवाना या जाके मिलना. I was so amazed. I had one of the clients और उनका ये था, अच्छा psychologist हमें पढ़ाए. And I was very, and I said, like, I have 15 years of very rich corporate experience in which I worked with marketing and sales, and I was a business graduate. So that was completely discounted. तो वो इतना strong stigma के साथ, तो मुझे ये एहसास हुआ कि जो चीज जिस ऑडियंस के पास आप जा रहे हैं, उसको जो लैंग्वेज चाहिए, उसको जो चीज अपील करती है, आपको उसी टेस्ट में उसको चीज देनी. आप अपनी कोई मंजर बना के नहीं ले जा सकते और क्या आप एक्सेप्ट कर. That will fail. So that's my
I think it's the extension of what we were talking about, experience center. So this is one of the action. I think we can do it together, like together with Healthwire, Zeven Solution, and then the companies like Cecil Pharma, that we choose a village, because once you're talking about the affordability, so the government health card, and then we have the session on micro insurance. So the end-to-end solution, what we can think of, like we choose a village and then we see the population and the health facilities, and let's take it as an example to make it as a model village. I think by this model, it will be easier for other villages to adopt this as well. So I think it's a quite a good idea. Do we endorse that, from the marketing perspective? Is it a good idea to go for a model village? Any suggestion, Dr. Maida, Sahel? Quick one before I move to the next one.
2-3 मॉडल, बिकॉज अब हमारे यहाँ थोड़ा सा वो भी है, एथनिसिटी का भी इशू है कि आप एक पंजाब का लेंगे, किसी सिंध में तो नहीं होता. तो आप अगर 2-3 पिक कर लें, बिकॉज देन पीपल कैन आइडेंटिफाई. इन द एंड you want their acceptance, so you want people, तो वो फिर उनको आप बता सकते हैं, देखिए हमने यहाँ पे ये किया, आपके यहाँ भी हम यही करना चाह रहे हैं.
Great. So quick view, just 1 minute view from all the other participants.
So I'll take a couple of minutes. Yeah. So I think one of our colleagues, Safia, she mentioned we need to consider villages and stuff. So maybe when we're talking about influencers, हम TikTok influencers या हम vloggers की help ना लें, हम उन लोगों की help लें. For example, the religious influencers, मस्जिद में बैठे हुए मौलाना साहब होते हैं, उनकी बात सुनेगा गांव का इंसान जो भी बैठा है, उसके लिए वो रिस्पेक्टेबल है, उसकी बात ज्यादा वैलिडेट करते हैं वो लोग और उसको फॉलो भी करते हैं. Probably even if they have a TikTok account, they probably use it only for entertainment and pleasure purposes. They don't use it as a impact on their real life practices. They will still follow what Maulana said or what the Dai Amma in the mohalla or in their particular area said. So that is something कि हम उनकी power को इस्तेमाल करें rather than कि हम अपनी perception के हिसाब से एक powerful source को लेकर जाएं और उससे impact create करने की कोशिश करें. Second thing, I think Food Panda की example हमें लेनी चाहिए इसके अंदर. Food Panda, it started off as a very basic food delivery application. 10-15 restaurants के साथ agreement किया. They started delivering food. Payment, obviously they give you options in the way they want you to pay for your orders. They're growing step by step. They did not do everything on their platform to begin with. Initially, it was just food delivery. Now it's got groceries in it. They have their own marts. They have their own service centers. And also there's a couple of telemedicine platforms इस वक्त जो कि पेमेंट डिलीवरी को इस हद तक फैसिलिटेट कर रहे हैं कि वो ये भी कहते हैं कि आप कंसल्टेशन ले लीजिए ऑनलाइन, हम पैसे आपके घर से आके पिक कर लेंगे आपसे. So there is this flexibility of payment. Looking at the Pakistani market key dynamics, they're facilitating the patients or the end users at this level as well. So these are a few good things which we can pick up, and then all of these can be later on integrated into a solution which hopefully will have better compliance and better survival rate overall in the long term as well.
It's a good idea about Food Panda. So it's building another idea to me, like the ride hailer. Basically, they evolved within a couple of years of time. We have suddenly seen that Bikeya, Food Panda. So one of the idea in the white paper, what we can do, like we're talking about model village. We're talking about relevant influencers and actually creating influencers like Molvi Saab and the people within the community. Then I can suggest, like, for building on Dr. Bina's your point, that we should have a session where we invite the senior leaders from the cross industry. For example, Baikia, Cheetah, Civil, and these are the people who are actually capitalizing on it. And in front of that, like we bring tech industry, healthcare, and these people, and we learn from them at how have you done it, and what do you think how healthcare can do it. So I think that kind of a dialogue, a very small group of dialogue, sometimes later we can plan to see how to make it faster.
और इसमें आप अली एक एलिमेंट जो probably पूरे लूप को क्लोज करेगा is the pharmacies and some e-commerce startups, because ultimately दवाई के बगैर तो मरीज का कुछ नहीं होना. So वो telemedicine पे prescription ले भी लेगा, दवाई लेने के लिए अगर बाहर जाना है, so the entire purpose is killed. So maybe some e-commerce startups can also be included, as in how can they add value to the whole chain.
Definitely, and absolutely right. And like we can bring Daraz as a marketplace. Daraz can come in, and then Davago and Tabiyat, the people who are already doing it. So I think that's a good combo where we bring the industry together with the cross-industry people and see that what they're doing, how they have done it, and how we can actually take that learning. That is one of the takeaway. We will definitely put it in the white paper. And not only that, I think one session I planned in the promise in the morning, that we will go to the health ministry and we will run a session on patient data sharing. I think this is the second session which we promise that we will plan, because we have links with Baikia and all those cross-industry leaders. So they will be very happy to make participation in that. So I think, so we have Dr. Pashmin. Dr. Pashmin, you sent a message that there's an internet issue, but if you want to add something here, please feel free before I move to the second point. Dr. Pashmin, you're on mute. Would you like to add something here? Okay, so no, I think she's still on mute.
She's typing.
So she's typing.
Comments mein dekhiega, she's typing.
Yeah. Okay. So okay, so she said that I will not be able to use the mic. Okay. So Hasnan has left, and there's another person who joined. It's written E. I don't know what is that E. Can you just, to make sure that our data is not leaked, I would request Mr. E or Miss E to introduce yourself quickly, because there's no name mentioned there. E as guest.
It might be Dr. Amir, because he said he would join us around 4:30.
Okay.
So maybe it's Dr. Amir. Yeah, he might.
Okay, no problem. So Dr. Pashmir, you can add in there, and then we'll take it forward. So as of now, what we have talked a lot about, collaboration is very important. Then we talk about relevant influencers, vloggers. Then we talked about the model villages. We can take certain villages and integration of health insurance card, where we talk about affordability, then kiosk, and then tele medicine. Then we can include the technology as well. Then we talked about a session specifically with e-commerce and the ride hailers who have actually capitalized on digital quite intensively, and that they can really help us accordingly. I think this is very valuable input coming on front. Now, I just raised last time that guys, be ready with your thoughts on any other example, and we have started receiving the example. So Sahel, Dr. Maida, do you want to add any other industries example which healthcare can capitalize to extend the reach and changing the mindset of the people? So starting from, so Sahel looks a bit worried, so I think I'll go with Sahel first.
Yeah, I'm worried because I'm actually trying to think what are the industries that we can bring in. One thing that comes into my mind is basically data storage. So strictly IT, because I think one thing that is missing in Pakistan is the storage of EMRs and EHRs. With the advent of technology and having all the records still on paper and missing the documents. For example, I'll give an example of my mother. So wherever I'm going to a doctor, I still need to carry all the certificates with me, all the papers. And sometimes, when we're sitting at the doctor, he's like, "Oh, you've mixed the X-ray, so you've missed the main file. You're just here with the other data." So this is something that I think that in terms of data, I think it's important to have a pocket-sized wallet where you can have all of the data stored. And not only yours, you can even have your family storage where for example, like mother, brother, sister, so that you can and you can give access to if the other person gives consent, even though they're family or immediate members. So I think this is something that I personally want, taking the example from Turkey has all these data stores. So if you're going from one doctor to another, because I lived in Turkey and I've seen this even for students, so they maintain it. So my Teja Kimlik number, meaning the foreign ID number that they gave me, was used everywhere I was going. But they were specified hospitals that were told that will have those data shared. And they all were government hospitals. So I think this is something that we need to move in forward and have in Pakistan before going. I know that it will take a lot of years and a lot of work connecting all the hospitals. I think it could be started by only collecting the data first at the doctor's end through SaaS softwares, then through patients, and then the integration between these two. I think that's the way forward, I personally feel. So I'm just trying to think of some examples cross industry wise. It's not coming in mind. That is why I'm a little tense. So I think we'll go to others and maybe there's something else that will come out.
Okay. So I can feel it. Dr. Maida, do you have example of any other industry?
Yes, and Ali, just before I hop onto the other industry, I just want to add one more point from the last discussion that we were having. I know that there's the problem of internet connectivity, and we're talking about model villages, and I think that's great. But another way that, because we've been working with people in Africa as well, and the African is also a developing country, and so we have been making lightweight offline apps, for women health and for sexual health. Right. So what we can do is that even if we don't have telemedicine, and even if we don't introduce telemedicine or telehealth services in our rural areas, I know that, like ESAS, Nashnoma program, it is working for women's health, and it's tracking their compliance, and we're trying to sort of reduce the maternal mortality and morbidity. And what we can do is we can source these mobile phones from wholesalers in China or whatever, and we can introduce these lightweight offline period trackers or any other sort of app that would help at least in one domain. So we don't have to, yes, we have to think big, but we don't have to implement everything at the same time. We can take baby steps. And so maybe once they start using these, offline lightweight apps and don't require an internet connection, they're going to familiarize themselves with mobile phones, with sort of app and technology. And then maybe they won't be that hesitant or afraid or sort of unfamiliar with when we do take the telemedicine there. So, okay, so moving on to the other industry, I don't know. I think the one of the campaigns that come to my mind is Knorr. When we talk about the Knorr brand, it's a food brand. But what I've seen, these big brands, and they're well established, and what they do is that whenever there's a trending topic or a social cause, they usually align themselves with the social cause. And when they align themselves with the noise that's being talked about on social media, that's where they create a greater impact. So for instance, when there was a Zainab case, Knorr, halake, it's a food brand. It came out, and the mascot of Knorr, that chicken, he started talking about good touch and bad touch, right? So that's where they got more popularity, and that's even in Coca-Cola. So in Italy, they had this campaign in which they gave back to the community. They were lunch boxes baate, and Coke is a household name, right? Like all over the world. But what they also did was it was one of them Amazon campaigns. And what they did was that they started a CSR campaign, and it was a social cause that they aligned with. So I think in one other company, I don't remember the name, it was a US based healthcare clinic. And so there was a flood over there because how they get a lot of hurricanes and floods. And so they, aligned with a social cause, and they started giving back to the victims and to the affectees of the hurricanes. And that's when they were able to not only showcase their doctors, but the digital pathways that they had employed for the victims of the hurricane or for the flood or whatever. So I think the healthcare industry, jab hum messaging ki again baat karte hain, it's so important to educate the healthcare professionals, but it's also important to become a part of the conversation that regular people are having. That regular people जो आम आवाम social media पे trending hashtags चल रहे होते हैं, if we can align with a social cause and we can become part of that conversation, I just think the reach is going to amplify by so much.
Amazing. And I'll add another example, like last year when COVID happened, so dairy milk example in India. So they hired, so it was a very good blend of intention with technology. So what they did, like through AI, so they got Shah Rukh Khan and they said like, okay, COVID impact, the big companies can manage because they have a huge amount, but the smaller companies will not be able to manage. So every mahalla shop and everybody, they got that API. They just like put their name in the form and they get an ad, which was actually powered by Shah Rukh Khan. So that was the contribution made by those people and the Cadbury. So I think the way you're saying, like one area is to talk about training to the people in the healthcare industry and the, one side of the story. The other side is becoming part of the conversation because trending and everything with the trend, Ramzan is coming. So, associate your industry campaigns. So one of the idea marketing came up. They said like, rather than building your brand, please focus to build on the vertical, because that way everybody will get benefit. Sahal, you raised a hand. You want to say something?
Yeah, I also wanted to add something here that I think it's a very valid point. Instead of creating a brand, we personally believe we need to have a story. It could be either emotional, hilarious, or whatever. There needs to be a story that people resonate with instead of the brand itself, right? People do not connect with a non-living organism, which is the company. People connect with people. They connect with human beings. So this is, I think, that's the connection that needs to be done even in health. It doesn't matter how the message is being communicated, because a different, for example, sober messages, could be directed to an age bracket of 50 above, 40 above. Humorous or smoking could be done for youngsters. But I think the message needs to be done. And at the point, I personally feel the message is missing. It doesn't matter where it comes from and how it comes from. I think the message is missing. And the other thing that, unfortunately, I don't know if my other members would agree, is health still, after so much awareness, after COVID, is still also not a priority spending. And that's where, people need to be educated that, how important health is and how important spending on it. For example, they would say that, you giving 2,000 rupees to a consultant is too expensive, but eating 2 burgers at McDonald's is not, right? And I think that is something that needs to be communicated, that how important health is, and the spending needs to be aggregated with any other spend like they're spending.
Great. Yeah. So, Dr. Safia, do you have any example from any other industry which you would like to add it here?
No, the examples that came to my mind at that moment was of P&G, which did the pamper thing, and the mobile industry.
Yeah, I think they're quite relevant. So I think it's a quite comprehensive conversation we just had now, because that was the overall...
one more, sorry. There was one, this microfinancing in Bangladesh that they did, and they provided small loans to the females who wanted to start their own thing and be financially independent. And again, there was a need. So like everybody is talking about model villages now. I know, maybe because I come from the marketing background, I think the most important thing is you need to go there and find out what they are looking for, and then tailor everything that you want to offer. Otherwise, it would be a hard sell. So maybe even for the microfinance, it worked because the woman needed that. They wanted to be financially independent. So anything that you offer, the rest is all just how you offer the thing. But the basic need has to be identified, what they are looking for, how they are looking for, and what is amiss. And if their level of trust is very high on the Maulvi Saab over there, then yes, using them as a key opinion leader is good. But if he's making money out of that trust, it would not be easy to convert that Maulvi Saab on your side. Because दम पे के अगर उनको पैसे दिए जा रहे हैं, तो आपको भी पता है business तो business है.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. The intention should be absolutely right and transparent. So the whole idea of the conversation we were having since 4 o'clock, that what are the cross-industry examples which can be used in healthcare to extend the reach and changing the mindset of the people. So I think we got a very valuable input which we can include in the white paper, and we can plan certain action that. So we left with 6-7 minutes. I would request, as a last thought, if you just have anything which you feel like it should be part of as a next step to revolutionize healthcare for the betterment of the patient, which other industries are using. So I would request everybody to have 1 minute of your last thought sharing with us. Dr. Beena, starting from your side.
Right. So Ali, thank you for very much for this. I think a छोटी सी example और जो मेरे ज़हन में आ रही है, and it does relate to us, probably in terms of health and technology integration, जहाँ पर हम आज खड़े हैं, हमारा banking sector शायद आज से 20 साल पहले, when it was trying to implement internet banking and mobile applications and web based, किसी अपनी transaction आप खुद कर लीजिए, आज से 15-20 साल पहले banks भी वहीं खड़े थे, लोग कतारों में लगते थे और check लेके जाते थे और पे order बनवाते थे. But over time the banking has revolutionized, and the only thing that was the key was कि persistent रहे वो इस काम में. And they try to, make it safe, biometric lekar aaye, pin codes lekar aaye, passcodes lekar aaye, just to make sure that the banks are safe, their accounts are safe, the money is safe. हमारी responsibility क्या होगी कि जी हमने भी convince करना है लोगों को कि इस तरह के platform पे आइए, so that their life is relatively easy, and at the same time we're making sure that the data is kept safe, whether it is the confidentiality, whether it is the prescription data, which should not be misused at any point in time, or the treatment information should not be leaked to anybody else, or it should not be a platform for malpractice of any sort. So I think हमें उनसे सीखना चाहिए, and using influential people like Wasim Akram बहुत intensively और aggressively इस्तेमाल किए गए हैं बहुत सारी patient awareness और public awareness campaigns पे. So we should identify more people who are willing to do this. पहला जो experiment किया गया था वो ज़ेबा बख्तियार के साथ किया गया था for type 1 diabetes, and it was very successful. Now by that setting an example, इस वक्त KPK के अंदर तमाम type 1 diabetic patients को free insulin मिलती है. If Hasnain is still here, he would endorse, because he's been very closely affiliated with that project as well. So entire KPK gets free insulin, type 1 patients. So we do have really good examples of persistence. I think अगर banking की लेते हैं तो आज अगर हम उसी persistence के साथ काम शुरू करते हैं तो शायद 15-20 साल के बाद हम भी इस mindset को revolutionize कर सकेंगे कि to some extent, yes, people still go to the banks today also. People will still continue to go to the hospitals, but yes, we will be able to offer some convenience to the entire lifestyle of a person. Thank you, Ali.
Great. Dr. Maida, any last thought from your side?
Just, I think that, all my colleagues have, nailed it. Just a last ending thought would be that, yes, collaboration between all major stakeholders. I think that just every field is now overlapping with each other. We could be of use to them and they could be of use to us. And by collaboration and stakeholders, I've said this to you as well before, Ali as well. Okay. Stakeholders में हमें medical students को भी करना चाहिए, because they are the future doctors, and the fresh perspective that they will, because they've grown up with this technology. We have seen this technology evolve in front of us, my generation, right? So when we involve them, I'm pretty sure that their insights, the insights that they have are going to be more valuable. They're going to have a third eye. They're going to have a more, maybe foresightedness that we don't have. And so maybe we're just stuck in a rut, and it really helps to have that outside perspective. So that's all from my side. I think that collaboration, but then also to include the coming generation as well in this process.
Right. Definitely. And even Dr. Beena, somebody was mentioning not only the students, but the graduates who just recently, entered into the professional life, because they're more prone to the technology, and they
Yes.
can also be part of it.
I mean,
as a-
वरना
as an
फिर 10 साल बाद
Absolutely.
भी it's going to be us with, you know,
Yeah.
white hair, gray hair, and we're going to be having these conversations. So
hopefully not so
definitely.
soon. Okay, so Sahil, Sahil, your last point.
Yes, so I personally feel that with deep-rooted culture of Pakistan subcontinent, I think art is something that is majorly acceptable everywhere, be it rural area, be it in urban area. And I think the integration of art and bringing it, and art, why I use the word art is because it could be done through dramas, it could be done through films, it could be done through writing, it could be done through a book, in form of pictures, in form of paintings. I think this needs to be done a lot. There was a theater group, I don't remember the name, it's from India, and what they used to do was that they formulated a drama on PCOs, and they went through the villages, and people understood and picked it, and it was done so beautifully that the message was conveyed gracefully and people understood, because it's also about the diet and constant nutrition, what is required to cater and combat it, and it was very beautifully done. So I think this is something that needs to be inculcated more in Pakistan, and because people do follow dramas, people do follow art, people love art everywhere here. So I think this is an integration where I think a lot of work needs to be done, as you even mentioned yourself, ISPR and Simpehan. I think they're doing a fantastic one, and you'll see a lot of dramas, not only Simpehan. I don't know, there was another one where Ahad Raza and all these big stars were there. I forgot the name. It was also an army drama. Then you had Myra Khan doing an army drama again. So you understand, so reiterating their message, because it's not like bits and pieces. You do it once and you forget it. You need to reiterate. As a human being, you need to do it again and again. You need to bring the message again and again. It's actually a study which shows that you need to, if you want to learn something, you need to go over it 9 times. So it's the same thing. And I think that is also the psychology of your company aims, where you make things memorable and it stays with you. So fall with, and yes, even giving a credit out to you. So we had a meeting, we are having a paper, we're having these roundtables. So we are also remembering all the points you're telling. So I think it's good, and everywhere when we're going back, we take all these points and implement in whatever life or whatever areas we're in. So this is an example of cross culture, across industry practices that you were mentioning.
Excellent. So I'll just add the point with Dr. Pashmeen has shared. I said, in line with what Dr. Maida said, have companies collaborated, have non-healthcare companies work together for a medical cause is needed. I think that's something challenging, because non-medical companies, everybody goes with the commercial objectives, and even their CSR is more towards that side. But we can put it as it's a discussion point later. Is it possible or not? Because it's not financial, it's a CSR activity mostly. So we can explore and we can look into that. So last one point from Dr. Safia. We have Dr. Dr. Safia. Yeah, Dr. Safia. So last point, then we'll close the call because the time is over now.
मेरा last point होगा best of luck. And with the endeavors, because आप इतनी कर ही रहे हैं, इतनी सारी, जैसे साहिल ने भी कहा, आप इतनी सारी राउंड टेबल्स भी करवा रहे हैं, और आपने जूम में इवेंट्स भी कराए हैं, और वैसे भी फिजिकल भी ऑन साइट भी कराए इवेंट्स. So best of luck with all the endeavors, and be ready for the setbacks and be persistent, like Dr. Beena also mentioned, and it's not going to be an easy road. It's going to be a rough, bumpy road.
Great. Thank you so much. And with all people's motivation and sincerity, I think we'll add our contribution. So with that, we'll conclude the call. Once again, thank you so much for your kind contribution. As a next step, this will be sent to the white paper team, and they will add the actions, most of the actions as part of it. And if you have later thoughts, we'll share the form with you as well. You can add your points there. So inshallah, soonest we'll keep you updated on the progress of the white paper.
Thank you so much, Ali. It's a great initiative, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank
guys.
you so much, everyone. Pleasure meeting everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Allah Hafiz.